What's going on, guys? John here from The Real Talk, back with my final review in this original trilogy, and that is for Star Wars Return of the Jedi, Episode 6, if you will. So, guys, I can't believe we're here already. I just need one more film. That review for The Force Awakens is going to be up a little bit later today, around 5 or 6. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, guys, I'll probably be reviewing The Last Jedi tonight and releasing it tomorrow. That's what's probably gonna happen most likely. So be on the lookout for that. So let's talk about Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. This movie, again, like the first episode 4 and 5, I grew up watching this film along with the set, and it's the one I think I watched the least, if I could say that. I don't really remember a lot of it, like growing up. I do, but like bits and pieces. But I do remember watching it a lot when I was older, a little bit older, and when the prequel started to come out and stuff like that. Obviously, I went back to revisit the original trilogy. And you know what? It's not as bad as I remember it. And a lot of people have been saying, hey, this is their least favorite of the trilogy. And for me, I think I agree with that. But I don't know. For some reason, I feel like I've heard a lot of negative things about this one. A little bit more than obviously the other ones. Because the other ones, guys, if you guys see my review, they're just so... they're instant classics. And this one I think is an instant classic as well. But I feel like it just deteriorated it a little bit. And I feel like they wanted to add a little bit more things here and there. Because it was the last movie. And maybe they were thinking about, you know, how much toys it can sell, unfortunately. And I feel that's why, you know, they gave us the Ewoks. But, you know, I guess starting off with that, I don't really mind the Ewoks. This time watching it around, I mean, I think maybe I got used to it. But I do agree that they're kind of just put in there. And if you take them out, I mean, you can use maybe like another part of the Rebels, like actual other members to fill their void, which add a little bit more. It like kind of like in the Battle of Hoth, like it was literally the Rebel base versus the Empire, and this would have been pretty cool to see. Again, you know, in I think Endor, it would have been cool to see. Maybe, I don't know, have the Ewoks there, but not, you know, central. I don't know. But like I said, for me, it doesn't really bother me. But I do see that they're kind of just put in there, like, hey, you know, this is like for the kids, and like let's sell toys and stuff like that. So right off the bat, I guess that's one of my negatives. That you can tell that was put in there. You know, it wasn't kind of just naturally in there. Another thing I didn't really like, and this is, I wouldn't say it's the film's fault. I think it's George Lucas's special edition that added this dreadful scene in Jabba's palace with this alien girl dancing and singing, like, and then this other guy just coming and singing too. Like, for some reason, it just, I hate that part. I really do. I wish I can just have the original edit and have that part taken out. You know, I don't know why it was there. If you guys know anything else, you know, hey, George Lucas wanted to do this, you know, kind of give a little bit more, because, you know, there was a first girl that was dancing for Jabba, and, you know, he didn't like it, so he threw her down the little pit. And I don't know. It's just, I just hate that part, guys. I have to be honest. Another thing I don't really like is the fact that they use Hayden Christensen as the Force Ghost at the end. It's a nice touch. I understand what they're trying to go for. Hey, kind of connect the prequels, but like if that's the case, why didn't you use Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan? You know what I'm saying? Instead of like Alec Guinness. So I feel I don't know if that is David Prowse. In the original one, I think it most likely is, but I would have liked to see. And again, this is just the special edition ones, the one with the little things added and stuff like that. So I don't know if I can say that that's a negative for the movie, or just for the movie, like that I don't like that they added those little touches, the special effects and stuff like that. So but getting back to the movie and not the special edition one, this movie has a lot of scenes that I really like, and actually has, if you guys not seen my top favorite Star Wars moments that I did with my friend Adam over there at Almost Sideways, I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. I guess a little bit of a spoiler for that, but you know, the rest of my list, you don't know what it is. So my favorite Star Wars moment is that at the end of that whole scene, there with Luke and Darth Vader and Darth Sidious. Because for me, it's just the film's coming for full circle, and I love the dynamic that they did in this. The scenes that really work for me are the whole family scenes, all the family scenes with Luke and Leia, with Luke and Darth Vader, and that whole, you can see Darth Vader's conflict of trying to go back to Luke, kind of trying to go back to the light side, and it's awesome because for me, like I said in the video, I think this first 6 movies is about Anakin, his when they found them, his kind of like rise, his fall, and eventually his redemption, and that's something that I really love about this story, and about this movie in Return of the Jedi. That last scene with Luke and Darth Vader when he takes off the helmet, it just gets me all the time. It's just amazing to see those 2 characters, like the father and son dynamic there. And some great scenes too when Luke surrenders himself. That's just Luke telling him, hey, you know what? Like I know you're still in there. Like I know Anakin is still in there, and it's so great. Like I think that's what makes this movie fantastic for me. And then again, like I said, the whole Luke and Leia, when Luke is telling her like I'm your brother. We're related, and Darth Vader's my father and stuff like that. It's just nice to see. She's like, oh, I think I've always known. Like there's been something always telling me. But at the same time, I was like, well, if you always known something, if you always known something, then why you give him a kiss, But I think maybe she just felt some sort of connection, and that's her like side of the Force, kind of, but she didn't know what it was, she didn't know they were brother and sister and stuff like that. And also, real quick, before moving on from that scene where Luke's telling Leia that they're related and stuff like that, I've never really noticed this. I never paid attention to this. I think I've heard it in passing in like a review or a podcast or something, but now watching it, that kind of sucks that like you see that these prequels, I mean these original trilogies, they were first, and they kind of weren't really planning on what ahead. Like George Lucas did have a plan, he always wanted to do 6 movies and stuff like that, but I don't know, because Leia tells him, Luke asks Leia, like, hey, like, do you remember your mother? She's, yeah, a little bit, I remember she's being beautiful. I was like, do you remember like when you got out of the womb, like how good is your memory? Because after that she died, unless something happened that we don't know, maybe in the books or something. I'm not sure, but I don't know, that kind of took me off. Like it kind of brought me out of the movies. Like what the heck? Like no, like Padme died giving birth to you. There's no way you can remember her. So, but I mean, I don't know. It's not really a negative to me. I'm just kind of bringing it up, like, hey, and also now that we're talking about Leia, the whole Han and Leia, like in the beginning, where she's like disguised as the bounty hunter and stuff like that, and she tries to free him. Eventually, Jabba like messes everything up. I really like that moment, and that's something that I feel like they really did well in this trilogy, Han and Leia's relationship, and you really believe it. Unlike the trilogy, you don't really necessarily believe Anakin and Padme's relationship, and you don't really, in this one, Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher really did a great job in portraying these 2 characters and making us believe that they really love each other and stuff like that. And that whole reversal of the line, like, oh, I love you, I know. For some reason, I thought that was really clever this time around watching it. To be honest, guys, now that I'm wrapping everything up with this final review for the original trilogy, I think this time around, maybe it's because I'm older and I don't know if me watching all these different types of films or something, I started to pay attention a lot more to these stories, to these characters and stuff like that. And I don't know, I think I this time around I started to notice a little bit more, and I appreciate a lot of the little details that they added. Like as I'm saying, I always liked the Han and Leia relationship, but this time for me I found it more believable. Those little scenes here and there, like right after Luke leaves and he told Leia, hey, we're related and stuff like that, Han comes, hey, like why can you tell me that you told him, and he's about to leave, but you see his character come, full circle, and he like the fact that his character changed and everything like that, he comes back, says, hey, I'm sorry, and I thought that was really sweet. And it just made me think about The Force Awakens. God damn it. I love Han Solo. I love Leia and all that stuff. But moving on, now that I was talking a little bit about the beginning, I love how that it opens with Darth Vader coming to the Death Star and say, hey, you know what? The Emperor's coming, so you better fix your shit. You better like clean your room. I just love that the guy is like really scared. Like he's like, holy crap, and that's kind of sets up like back then if you're watching these trilogy for the first time, you're kind of always wondering like, oh my god, like Darth Sidious and stuff like that, the Emperor, and now like I don't know, that just scene kind of sets up like, oh my god, like it builds up more anticipation to finally see the Emperor by side of Darth Vader and stuff like that. I also like that scene when the Emperor eventually comes, how everybody's like kneeling to him and stuff like that. It's the first time that we see like Vader kind of like, okay, this is the guy that's above me, like he's my master, so it's kind of cool to give some sort of like gravitas a little bit more to the Emperor, even though like if you see like like I've been seeing like the original the prequel trilogy and then the original trilogy, kind of everything kind of comes full circle and stuff like that. Yeah, and I let's talk about the whole Jabba's palace thing again. Some things, I don't know, I feel like don't really hold up. The special effects are well done as well, and you can tell there's actual sets and stuff like that, especially when they get to Endor. It's nice and beautiful and stuff like that. Something the prequels didn't have, and it makes you feel like they're in this world. They're in Endor, this different planet. But in the whole Jabba's palace thing, I don't know. It's just I've never really liked that part of the movie. I understand what they had to do it, and the one thing I really like is that Luke comes in like a badass. Like, hey, you know what? Like, give up my friends or you'll die or something. Like, hey, like let's make a deal. If not, then you'll die or something. I really like that. That he's like a Jedi now. Like a Jedi master, if you will. So yeah, I don't know. I just never really got into that scene. And then at the end when they're Luke's plan is coming to fruition, and R2-D2 throws him the lightsaber. That's something I noticed this time around too, watching this original trilogy. The R2-D2's badass. Like he's taking charge like left and right and throughout this whole trilogy. Like he's the important character. Like I've always known that he is in C-3PO as well, but like now, like I'm saying, I'm paying attention to a little bit more what he's doing. Like he does a lot of major stuff. Like he saves everybody like multiple times. So I really like that about those two droids. So going back to the whole, damn, I'm forgetting the name of it. The pit that they eventually go to, and that whole thing too. It's kind of weird that in the prequel trilogy they kind of build up. Damn, I'm blanking on his name too. Boba Fett. And to kind of being this badass too, and even in Empire Strikes Back, like there's that little scene that Darth Vader says, you know what, like bring him back here, no funny business, basically. I don't know the exact line that he said, but he's talking specifically to Boba Fett, like, hey, like bring him back, like don't do anything crazy. They kind of build him up, and then he just dies. I would have liked to seeing him kind of like battle, maybe have a little fight with Han Solo. That'd have been cool, but he's barely like waking up from the carbonite and stuff like that. But other than that, let's move on to Yoda and stuff. It's bittersweet. This time around, like I said, it kind of watching the prequels, and in this, it's kind of bittersweet to see Yoda for the last time in this show. Well, we don't know. Maybe he'll come back in the other sequels as Force Ghost. But as far as we know, that's the last time we see Yoda, and I like that he has the same character he had in Empire Strikes Back, and kind of telling Luke, hey, you're ready or something, and all that stuff, and kind of Luke saying, Yoda, you can't die, I was like, oh man, Yoda. He's one of my favorite characters as well. So yeah, I thought that scene was well done. And then we go to the scene where the Force Ghost Obi-Wan Kenobi and stuff, and I don't know, I always thought it was kind of weird how he just like shows up and like, I don't know, I don't want to really get into that because I like Obi-Wan and stuff like that, but I like that little dialogue again, and then again, like I thought that was a little bit repetitive, that they both Yoda and Obi-Wan's like, hey, like you have to face Darth Vader, you have to face him and stuff like that. It's kind of like yeah, I know, I don't want to, but you guys keep telling me. But then I kind of want to move on already, kind of wrap things up. I don't want to make this one too long. I've noticed that for some reason my reviews, like from episode 1 to Empire Strikes Back, they've been getting longer, and Empire Strikes Back is like almost like I think it's like 24 minutes. I'm like, Jesus, like I don't know if anybody's gonna watch that, But before I start to wrap things up, I want to talk about the last battle, over Endor and the Death Star. My gosh, I didn't know, for some reason, like I said, this time around, I found this whole battle to be so intense. Like, oh my god, like there's a lot on like on the line here, and it was just awesome to see. I was entertained. Like, I saw the time of the movie. I was like, okay, cool, to kind of, you know, try to plan my day out, you know, because I'm going to watch The Last Jedi tonight. So I want to make sure, you know, everything's, you know, planned accordingly. So, and I want to get these reviews out to you guys. So it just, time went by super quick when I was watching it. I was like, man, this was entertaining. I love this battle. It's one of the best ones yet. Yeah, it's just seeing Lando too, flying the Falcon. It was awesome. And also Wedge. I didn't really know that Wedge had a lot to do, you know, like he helped, you know, a lot. Like, and that's pretty cool. I really want to know a little bit more about Wedge. Maybe he's evolved a little bit more in the books or in the comics and stuff like that. So I want to know more about him, or maybe some of the shows as well. So if you guys know where I can find out more about Wedge, because he's pretty badass. I like Wedge now, more than I already did, you know. And yeah, guys, I think that's about it as far as anything I can talk about. I'm trying to kind of rerun the whole movie real quick to kind of see, you know, if I'm missing anything. But of course, the last thing I want to end off on is, of course, that last battle between Luke and Darth Vader. And the Emperor just there, just laughing, watching, like, good, you know? Kind of like Mr. Burton's, excellent. I always thought that was kind of like they're kind of mirroring each other. But it was just that's why it's my favorite moment in Star Wars so far, because you can just tell Luke and Darth Vader are just both struggling. They're fighting each other. They don't want to, you know, if Luke kills Darth Vader, he's not only killing his dad, but in the process, he's becoming Darth Vader. He's becoming what the Emperor wants him to be, you know. And at the same time, Darth Vader, he wants to follow the Emperor and stuff like that. But at the same time, he's like, this is my son. This is the first time I've seen my son and stuff like that. And he kind of, I feel like Anakin is coming back. Like, Anakin's kind of snapping out of it. Like, you know what? It's because of the Emperor that I've suffered all this. You know, I was dumb. He's kind of, you know, coming full circle, and like, that you can really tell, like, you can't really, obviously you can't see a face underneath Darth Vader, but just the movements like he's doing when the Emperor is doing that Force lightning on Luke, and Luke is calling for his dad, you know, and it's just so emotional, and he keeps looking at the Emperor and him, and he finally picks him up and just drops him, and the Emperor dies. Hopefully he stays dead. And it's just the redemption, for me, it's just the redemption and the story coming full circle, and the perfect ending to that character, Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker. You know, he redeems himself, and he saves his son, and he gives his life for him, and I think that's just, I don't know, it's just I love that so much. I love that whole scene and stuff like that. But yeah, guys, I think that's all I can say about Return of the Jedi. It's my least favorite from the original trilogy. If you guys are seeing this, most likely you guys seen my other reviews, so you guys know I gave both A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back a perfect 10 out of 10, guys. And so I think I would rate Empire, New Hope, and then Return of the Jedi from this trilogy. I'm not taking into account everything. But yeah, guys, so if I had to give Star Wars Return of the Jedi a rating, I think it would have to be, damn, I was going to say right off the bat 8.5 out of 10. But you know what? I think I'd give it an 8 out of 10, guys. I think so. It does have a lot of great moments in one of my favorite Star Wars moment is in this film, but it's just, you know, maybe I'm taking into account the special editions and stuff like that kind of bring it down for me, and kind of just I noticed that there's a lot of character moments, but at the same time, like, there's a lot of stuff that I would like to see. Like, I always thought it was kind of weird that I love that Lando was in this one, but he betrayed Han. You know, he turned him to the Empire, and he eventually got frozen in carbonite and all that stuff. So watching these trilogies now, I always thought, like, now I was like, wait a minute, why isn't Han, you know, mad at Lando? You know, so there's a lot of little things like that that kind of bring it down for me. But still, it's an 8 out of 10. It's a great score. You know, it's entertaining. For me, it's still a Star Wars film. And I always love it for that. But you guys know the drill. Let me know in the comment section down below what your guys' thoughts are on the film. And if you guys want to follow me outside of YouTube, you guys can at The Real Talk with 2 Ks on Instagram and Twitter. And guys, remember, late last night I did put out my review for Empire Strikes Back, and then later on tonight, I'm gonna be actually later on today, like around 5 or 6, I'm gonna be uploading my review for Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And tomorrow morning, look out for my review for The Last Jedi. I don't want too many videos to be out at once, so that's why I'm gonna upload it tomorrow morning. But yeah, guys, I'm so excited, and yeah, I can't wait for The Last Jedi. So with all that being said, guys, I'll see you at the movies later.